Most Roman soldiers never made it past the first 5 years. The ones who didn't survive, they transformed. Rome, 100 AD. A man named Marcus Flavius stood at a crossroads outside the city walls. He was 23 years old. He owned nothing. Conscription or enlistment were his only escape from debt and landlessness. He chose the army. That decision would define the next 30 years of his life in ways he couldn't yet comprehend. The enlistment bonus was modest, a small purse of denarii, but it meant food. For a landless man, that was everything. Marcus signed the contract, 25 years of service. He didn't read the fine print. Few soldiers did. He couldn't have known that fewer than 1 in 3 men who enlisted would survive to retirement. Boot camp was 8 weeks, not a fort in the field. The centurion was a man named Gaius, scarred across his left arm from a Dacian spear wound. Gaius didn't believe in mercy. He believed in standards. Marcus learned to march 20 miles a day in full kit. 30 pounds of armor, shield, spear, and provisions. His feet blistered. Then they calloused. Then he stopped noticing pain. Daily routine never changed. Wake before dawn. Drill until noon. Weapons maintenance. Latrine duty. Cooking shifts. A soldier's life was 90% monotony, 10% terror. Marcus learned to sharpen his gladius on stone until it could split a hair. He learned to trust the man next to him more than his own survival instinct. That man's name was Lucius. They'd been assigned the same contubernium, the 8-man tent unit that would be their family for the next decade. After 18 months, Marcus was promoted to immunes, exempt from certain duties. It meant he could read and write. The centurion had noticed. It also meant his pay increased by 50%. 30 denarii per month instead of 20, enough to send money home to his sister. For the first time since enlistment, Marcus felt something like stability. But stability in Rome was always temporary. 107 AD. Emperor Trajan ordered a new campaign against the Dacians. Marcus's legion marched north toward the Danube. Lucius made a joke about the cold. Marcus laughed. Neither of them knew that Lucius would be dead within 6 months. That's the gap that haunts every soldier, the distance between an ordinary morning and the moment everything ends. The Dacian War was brutal, not dramatic or glorious. Brutal, long stretches of waiting, then sudden violence. Marcus saw men lose limbs to infection before they could even reach the surgeon. He saw a friend from his contubernium take a Dacian arrow through the throat. The man didn't die quickly. Marcus held him while he drowned in his own blood. That image never left him. By 110 AD, Marcus had earned the rank of optio, a junior officer. He was 33 years old. His hair was graying. His knees ached from marching. But he was alive. More than that, he had authority. He commanded 30 men. His pay doubled again. 60 denarii monthly. He was no longer a grunt. He was becoming someone. The work changed. Less drilling, more administration, roster management, discipline hearings, supply requisitions. Marcus had to learn how to order men to the whipping post. Some of them had been his tent mates. The detachment it required, the ability to separate yourself from the humanity of the person you're punishing, that was the true cost of promotion. Advancement after optio was harder. The next rank, centurion, required political connections or extraordinary valor. Marcus had neither. He'd survived. He performed competently. But he'd never led a charge or saved a general's life. He'd never been noticed by the right people. By 115 AD, he accepted that centurion wasn't coming. Instead, he became a primus pilus, senior optio. More responsibility, less money than a centurion, but more status than a regular optio. He trained new recruits. He watched them arrive terrified and green, just as he'd arrived 15 years earlier. He tried not to get attached. Most of them would either die or desert within 2 years. The daily reality of an officer was different from the grunt's life, but not easier. Marcus still marched with the legion, still camped in tents, still ate the same grain bread and thin stew. The difference was the weight of others' lives. When supplies ran short, he decided who got less. When morale broke, he was responsible for restoration. Authority was burden masquerading as privilege. By 125 AD, Marcus had been in the army for 22 years. He was 48 years old. His back was permanently bent from decades of marching. His hearing was compromised from years of trumpet calls and combat, but he'd reached a ceiling. He was never going to be a centurion. The political structure of Rome didn't allow for late bloomers from nothing. 3 years remained on his contract. He served them quietly, no more campaigns. He was stationed at a fort on the Rhine. He trained recruits, he wrote reports, he waited for retirement. And then in 128 AD, his service ended. 25 years. He was given his discharge papers and a small plot of land outside the city. It wasn't much, but it was his. Marcus lived another 14 years. He farmed his plot. He never married. He drank wine in the afternoons with other veterans. He'd see men he once commanded, and they'd avoid his eyes. The hierarchy was gone. They were equals now. He was just an old man with scars and memories. His story wasn't unique. Thousands of men climbed the ranks exactly as he did. Small promotions, incremental respect, the slow transformation from nothing into something. But that transformation came at a cost. Marcus lost friends to disease and combat. He lost his youth to discipline and routine. He lost the ability to feel comfortable around civilians. The army had remade him into something that couldn't exist outside its structure. What we often miss about Roman soldiers isn't the glory of conquest or the drama of battle. It's the mundane mathematics of survival. How do you climb when there's nowhere to climb? How do you build a life in an institution designed to chew you up and discard you? Marcus's answer was simple. You show up. You learn. You don't die. And if you're lucky, you become someone the system notices. It wasn't heroic. It was just the brutal, quiet work of persistence. Subscribe to see how ordinary people navigated power structures in ancient Rome, Egypt, and beyond. Every week, a new life most history books skip.